Hi, everybody. Very warm welcome to all the viewers of Immigration Buzz by Adnan and Shariq. Myself, Hassan Shariq from Toronto, and Adnan Khalid, who is originally based in Calgary, but these days he's outside of Canada. I'll let all of you make a guess as to where he is, but he has to turn on air conditioning where he has. So, very warm welcome from all of us. Today, we thought that we will return back to some basics. So, our topic for today is a topic which is very basic or fundamental element within the express entry system. It's the comprehensive ranking system, comprehensive ranking score, CRS points, different names given to it. And we thought that this is where a lot of people who are looking at doing their own applications at times have trouble in ascertaining the score. Also, looking at their eligibility, that's where we thought that a lot of times people get to be scammed. That they're told, oh, you have these many points, so you're making it for this program. So we will today run through in detail about the comprehensive ranking score (CRS). We'll also tell you some tips and tricks here and there, how you can increase that score, and ways in which once you submit your express entry profile and you have a slightly lower score than the cutoffs that have been there, what are your options in those instances? So this will be the topic for today. I hope more and more people can join. We've played around with the time as well, so probably it's a Sunday evening in a lot of South Asia and Middle East, from where we get a lot of our viewership. With that, I'll first ask Adnan how he has been, what he's up to, mysteriously leaving Canada. Adnan, what's the update from your side?
I'm good. It's not mysteriously I have left anywhere. It's just like a few weeks of vacation I got, so I thought to spend it with my parents and siblings. So basically, I'm in Saudi Arabia, but yes, I'm working on my business side as well. There was just, I think, last week I missed it because I was in continuous flights that time. But now I am here in Saudi Arabia, in city of Jeddah, for a couple of weeks before I head back to Calgary. So I'm enjoying my little bit break from winter. So I'm kind of a snowbird right now. So yeah, I'm enjoying plus 30 here. It's being awesome so far. And thank you, Hassan, for choosing this topic today because I think this is a very, very interesting one.
Yeah.
So I will request you if you can please share the screen from your end today because I'm just having a very small laptop with me. So I'm out of my gadgets today. So if you can just share,
So,
that would be awesome.
uh, just give me a second, and I'll put the slides, and then we can.
Exactly. So yeah, today CRS comprehensive ranking system is the topic which we want to start with. So what we'll do is, as usual, I have few slides with me which I will go through, and then we will jump onto the CRS calculator. Just give you an idea about the official CRS calculator which we have on IRCC, and then of course we are open for question and answer session afterwards. So this is a brief agenda for today. So as soon as Hassan is going to pull the presentation up, we will start the things going forward. So Hassan, if you couldn't find it, I can open
No,
it.
no,
But in that,
I'm just opening it on the
Mhm.
other screen.
It's a very few slides today, like three slides, and then, yep, I think it's coming up. Yep. Thank you so much, Hassan. So yeah, this is our today presentation on comprehensive ranking system, also called as CRS, or sometimes people call it comprehensive ranking score as well. So
Yeah. Mm.
you can call it whatever you want, but this is CRS calculation basically. So Hassan, can you just take us to the next slide, please? So let me zoom in a little bit here on my end. So yeah, this is I'm not sure the scan is proper or not, but this is a very comprehensive table I found on one of the website. So I thought to use it. Basically, this is the table which we used it during our exam when we prepared for our licensing exam. So this was one of the table which we have access to. So it's kind of my favorite because it's very consolidated. It shows how the 1200 points of total CRS is being divided into sections. So if you just look at on the top of, like, if we start from age and like the core human capital, and then there are two columns just next to it which shows if you're applying as a single or if you are applying as a married person. So like the score distribution, how it will be. So the score which you are seeing right now here is basically it is the maximum points one can get in that particular discipline. For example, in age you can go up to 100 points with marriage, and without if you are single it's 110. So you can also see from this particular column that if you are going as a couple or as a married couple, so the score actually will reduce little bit. So there is a, the score has some little bit difference, but that can be covered up if the partner is contributing towards IELTS and their education as well. So but in general, yes, there is a difference between single versus married. So we have age, we have 100, maximum 100 points. I will just take the, I think that, let's take the single calculation, the single person. So
Yeah.
110 is the maximum points for age. Level of education we have 150. Language is proficiency, which is the basically English exam, is 160. And then work experience, if it is Canadian, the maximum you can score is 80. So, and now on the other side, the B, which is the common law or spouse points. So this is what I was talking about. Like the partner can claim points up to maximum 40, which is actually going to compensate the little bit, reduction in the points if you are applying as a married couple. So level of education, the spouse can claim up to 10 points max. Language is proficiency, IELTS score max 20, and then Canadian work experience 10. Now, if we come to section C, which is the skill transferability, so we can claim actually 100 points maximum here. And they have divided this particular section into three main categories. One is the education, the other is foreign work experience, and the third is certificate of qualification. So you can see that each section has further two subsection in it, but maximum you can claim 50 points out of that. You cannot claim, even though it shows under education, languages and degree 50 points, and then Canadian work experience and degree is another 50 points. So that is equal to 100 points, but maximum you can only claim 50 points from here. So this is what the skill transferability is. This is just, in this particular slide, we are just going to cover on a high level, and then we'll go in detail in the next slides. So I'm just going to cover what 1200 points look like here. So if we go to section D, the additional points, which is said maximum 600 points. So we have, if you have siblings in Canada, you can score up to 15 points here on this side. If you know French language, another 30 points. If you have a Canadian degree or education, another 30 points. This is where the Canadian experience class people actually take benefit. So Canadian degrees 30 points here. Arranged employment 200 points additional. So this is another benefit. If you are studying in Canada, you got a degree from Canada, you got 30 points, and if you got also employment afterwards, you score another 200 points. So this is the benefit of studying in Canada. Just looking at the table, you can know. And for now, this is the last one, is the provincial nomination 600 points. So most of the time you have heard that if you are scored less, let's send your profile to provinces. So this is where the 600 points come in, and people try for provincial nominee programs in different provinces in Canada. So if you add all these, section A plus B plus C plus D, the total points are coming as 1200 in total. So this is a very high level idea of how the CRS system work here. So Hassan, can you jump on the next slide? Now we'll go in detail. So now you can see we have shown like the maximum is the 110 points for single person for age. Now here is the detailed system here, like per category, how you can score. If it starts from age 18 and it can go up to age 45 plus, like this is all the point system here. So you can see if you are less than 18 and more than 45 years, no points for your CRS system here, no points, zero. So the maximum points you can get if your age is between 20 to 29, that is the maximum, and then it will slowly start decreasing. Afterwards, 5 points say every year it dropped down. So this is for the age. Now the next is the education. If as we have previously talked about it, like the maximum points you can get is 150, which is the PhD doctor level, right? 150. Master's degree 135, and of course there are a lot of other categories, and the score will start little bit reducing. One little bit key point here is, and Hassan, I would like you to address also here, the 2+ credentials. This is very interesting one. And Hassan, if you shed some light here
Yeah.
on 2+ credentials, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So um, this is exactly where there is a lot of confusion, and where people can gain as well. So if you see, I'll try and do a little bit of a zoom over here. Um, so with education, some things are pretty simple. First, if you're looking at express entry, the basics is a high school, which is grade 12 in most places. And if you look at the other way around, it's pretty simple: a PhD, a master's, and then university qualifications. But under express entry, you are able to. So normally you would have a bachelor's degree, which is like a 3 year or a 4 year bachelor's degree. But you are also able to score points if you have two or more degrees, and this is actually where it comes in between the masters and the 4 year bachelors. So this is possible if you have two or more degrees in such a ways that one is a university bachelor's degree, 3 years or 4 years, and on top of that you have one more program. Now this can be a certificate. This can be it has to be a 1 year one. It can be a postgraduate diploma. It can be a diploma, but it's not a master's. And this becomes very valuable. We'll have a look at it later, but in terms of points, when we look at skill transferability, this is where a lot of people can gain points if they have a good IELTS combined with it as well. Because just the points for bachelors and masters, in between there is a lot of gap when you add this with skill transferability. So if you look at the points masters, say for instance, you are coming to Canada or intending to come to Canada as a single person, you'll have 135 points for masters, and for a bachelor's you have 120 points. So this is 15 CRS points, which is a big number in itself. And this category, which Adnan just mentioned, two or more degrees, one has to be a university degree of 3 year or four, and then one this has 128. So you can cover a lot of points over here. Yeah, Adnan.
Exactly. And I think one example we can give is, for example, someone has a degree in engineering and then they went for a post degree diploma or certificate. So they can score actually, and that particular degree is more than 1 year. So they can score 128 points on the CRS. And that is a small example if you want to
And,
understand
and,
how
and,
it
and
works.
one very relevant example for this, where a lot of applicants from South Asia, especially from Pakistan, is people who are ACCAs. So if you're an ACCA and you are eligible for the Oxford Brookes Bachelor's of Accounting degree, this is where you get benefit. If you get that bachelor's degree, you can use that as a 3 years or 4 years bachelor's, and ACCA can provide you a diploma of accounting together for that. Now, what ECA that will be done, you can definitely get in touch with us and we can help you on that. But for that, you can get an ECA assessment done for this category, where it will not be a master's, but you will not lose points just for a bachelor's. Rather, you get points for two or more degrees. So ACCA is a major example here as well. Yeah.
Right. And also, Hassan, I think we have already covered ECA episode earlier, but just to mention it here, it's very important that before sending your degree to the approved institutions by IRCC, we have to do a little bit of due diligence, because there are some degrees being verified as to fullest in some particular institutes like WES,
Yeah.
but some of the degrees are not being recognized to the fullest by WES. And I think one example, Hassan, I think you gave last time one example. I forgot. If you can mention that again, that would be awesome. There was one degree which you said that if we send it to WES, it's going to come back as 3 years degree something. But if you
Yeah,
send it to University of Toronto, then it's going to be recognized fully.
yeah.
I think that
So
was an MBA, maybe, if I'm
yeah,
not
so the
mistaken.
most common thing with that is that if say if you're an applicant from Pakistan and you completed 2 years bachelor's of commerce BCom, and then you do an MBA, which in some cases is a 3 or 3.5 year MBA. Now, if you send these two together, this will come back as a bachelor's degree, or if these are sent together, this will be 2 degrees. Whereas if you just send the MBA on itself, that will be given an EC assessment of MBA or of a master's. And keep in mind that for express entry purpose, you're only required to have your assessment done for the highest level of qualification achieved. You're not required to have all. So these are little things that you can plan or that can be played around.
Awesome. So, Hassan, let's move ahead. The second biggest challenge people have is the language proficiency. So, these are the scores which is being shown here. Now, the calculation is as in CLB, but of course, there is a conversion from CLB to IELTS, which is available on Google. If you just search it, you will see how to convert the CLB score to IELTS score. The benefit here of discussing is if you are scoring above CLB 9, then you can actually gain more points on the transferability as well. So that is one thing important to know. And secondly, there is no baseline here for the points calculation. For example, if you score CLB 7 in one, CLB 8 in one, CLB 9 in the other module, and CLB 8 again in another module, so then you have to calculate points for each of those, and then you have to add it, and that will be your score. But remember one thing, that you need to make sure you are not falling less than CLB 7, because that is the criteria. If you want to apply for express entry, you have to be stay above than CLB 7. So this is some of the few things that is for federal skilled worker, though. I'm particularly talking about the people who are applying under federal skilled worker. So this is the score calculation for the IELTS. Hassan, I think we can move ahead on the next one. The previous, I think, slide one has, if you Hassan just move back to the last one, yeah, there is a Canadian work experience points as well, which you can see from here. The maximum is you can score 80 points if you are applying as a single applicant. That is the max you can get here on the Canadian work experience. Hassan, now you can take us to the next one, please. So if you can scroll a little bit up, Hassan, yeah. So these are the points on top for the spouse or common law partner. As we saw that there is a small drop in points if you are applying as a couple or as a married person. So those points can be compensated if your partner is contributing towards three factors, three of the things here. One is the education, second is the English exam, and the third is if they have a Canadian work experience. So basically those points will be compensated here.
Yeah.
um,
I'll actually put it in a different way, Adnan.
yeah,
A lot of people say that why these points, if you're applying as a married person or with spouse, why these points drop. So you should take it in a way that if you are married, just to keep fairness in the system, if you're single, you're applying all on your own, and you have to get those points on your own. Whereas if you're applying as a married person, as an accompanying spouse, then these additional points can be added. So I think it is to create that fairness that somebody who's not married does not lose out on those points just because they don't have anybody contributing toward that. That's why if you calculate, and we'll try and do a sample calculation at the end as well. If you try and calculate points as a married person for the same factor, you can achieve slightly less points compared with a single person. And if you look at these, that's the difference. So the difference is about 30 points between a married and a non-married person points in total. Your spouse can add a maximum of 10 and a maximum of 5 for each module of language. So there are 4 modules, so that's 20 points. So 20 plus 10, 30. This is the exact difference. Like if somebody's applying as single and they get a score, same credentials applying with their spouse, the difference will be 30 points if spouse points are not added. So yeah, that's my take on this, Adnan. Yeah.
And Hassan, one important point also, people ask us a lot of time that they do not want to drop their points on the CRS system, so they want to apply as a single, although they are married. So there is an option here now. If you want to keep your point same but you are married, so you can still, you need to declare that you are married, but you can add your wife or your partner as a non-accompanying member. So if you do that, your points will stay same as a single individual. It will not drop down. But you cannot just ignore this. You have to declare it. You cannot like say even you are married, you will not. You will keep your status as single. If you do that, that's a misrepresentation, and that will create problems. So you still need to mark it as married in the express entry profile, and then just simply say the wife is not traveling with you, it's non-accompanying.
Yeah.
So just to make sure that you are still high on the points, if that is the case, which this question keep coming to me like a lot of times, so I thought it's good to mention here as well.
Yeah.
All right, Hassan, let's move ahead to the skill transferability factors here. So, as we have seen, these are the major three sections they have divided into. The first is education, the second is foreign work experience, and the third is certificate of qualification. So the education is simple. If you have like two credentials, which Hassan was mentioning, which and the example was if you have an engineering degree and you got the certificate of 1 year afterwards. So basically, you got like a benefit of this particular section here. Now, and now the second thing is the language, which we were mentioning. If you score CLB 9 on all 4 modules constantly, then of course you will gain extra points, and that is the 50 points in this case. So if you have an engineering degree, you got 1 year diploma or post degree diploma, and then you score on IELTS CLB 9, you score 50 points here maximum. So this is the benefit here. Like this is how you can play your game or make sure you are achieving the maximum. The second category now is the Canadian work experience and degree. This is again same, but you have an education plus you have a 1 year experience in Canada as well. So this is for usually this particular section applies to people who are applying under CEC category, not FSW. So the first one which we discussed was for federal skilled worker applicants. The second category is more applicable to Canadian experience class applicant. All right, now coming to the second section, which is a foreign work experience. Again, you can claim 50 points maximum here. And if you have 3 or more years of experience, foreign work experience, you have CLB 9 in IELTS 4 modules, you can score 50 points here. So this is another plus thing. So there are few conclusions one can draw. So if you have make sure like you have an experience more than 3 years, score more than CLB 9. So basically what it ensures is you are getting the maximum benefit of your profile. The last section under skills transferability factor is the certificate of qualification. This is basically the red seal certificates which one can attain in more of the technical side of things, uh, which I have seen very less example, like in this experience, very less example. But of course, there is a section they kept for trade occupations in which electrical, plumbers, carpenters, and all those sort of things can come up with, and they can score again 25 if they have CLB 5 and this seal, which we call red seal, blue seal, golden seal. There are so many seals, and then if they're scoring CLB 7, which is equal to IELTS band 6, and so they will score 50 points here. So in total, this is a 600 point section here. Easily one can attain. So Hassan, let's move ahead. Okay, so we have also have mentioned that if you have a relative in Canada, you can score 15 points from there. If you know French language, there's an additional 15 points. Uh, and then, of course, there is a points for your Canadian education in Canada. So if you have master's degree, engineering degree, or any professional degree or PhD degree, additional 30 points there. And last but not the least, arranged employment. Now, these are being divided into two categories. People usually say that if they got a job offer, they will claim 200 points. No, that is not the case. So, 200 points you can only get if you are being offered a job from a higher management side. So, that is basically a no code or 00, which is a very high positions like director, vice president of the company or something. Then they can score 200 points. But all the other NOC OAB, not C and D, only O and B, you can score 50 points only if you have a job offer. And so this is on the job side. And then if nothing works and the point is still low, so yeah, people look into provincial nomination as well, and they can score 600 points from there. So this is in total, like all CRS calculation is 1200 points. We have seen like scores sometimes go above 600, 700 also. Like that is the reason some people are having the job offer or they got like straight provincial nomination. So 600 points there. So yeah, this is how people score there. Usually, also what we have seen, the federal skilled worker scores are higher in draw compared to Canadian experience class. Canadian experience class have gone, if I'm not mistaken, in 360s or 50s somewhere.
Yeah.
But the federal skilled worker points have never went down to this level. They are staying 450s, I think, which I have seen. And usually it stays between 465 and plus or 460 plus.
Yeah.
So Hassan, I think if that is good here, so the other important question which usually we answer a lot of time is how they can calculate the point score. And I remember like you have shared a very good one last time in the group Facebook group Pakistan forum, the official CRS calculator.
Yeah.
So if you can bring that up, that
Yeah.
will be a good to give a like live example.
Yeah.
So just to let all the people know that there is only one official calculator exist in IRCC system, and please use that instead of putting your profile on different other websites to calculate the points. Always use the resource which we can trust on. So the IRCC, they have their own tool available to everyone. So Hassan is sharing now the screen for that,
Yeah.
and it's very
So
simple to use. Very
yeah,
simple to
yeah.
use. So Hassan,
Well,
if you can walk through, that will be
I'll
awesome.
I'll just walk through, and what I'll do is that probably the link for this, I will put that up in the in the description of the video or the comment section. So if anybody is having trouble with finding this link, we can put that over there. But if you just go online and just Google the official CRS calculator, this is what you should get. Just the important thing to keep in mind that because there are some other calculators as well, which are by different companies, you should see that this should be on the Government of Canada website. So here it is, the comprehensive ranking score tool. And now all that we discussed, we'll just give that a run as to how you can calculate the score. So first up, let's assume that it is somebody who is single and applying or calculating their score through this tool. So right now we're looking at, just for simplicity's sake, we're looking at somebody who's single. So to begin with, it does ask you as to what your marital status is, and that's where you have a few options. Now, don't get confused by all these. If you are single, you will say never married or single. If you are married and you would want to keep it as non-accompanying, you do mention that. But right now, for simplicity, we'll go with never married, single. Then it asks you your score, sorry, your age, and that's where you mention. Now, if you're younger than 18, technically you're not eligible for express entry. So if you add that, probably you'll get something saying that you're ineligible. So it has to be between 18 up until it can be more than 45, but then you won't get the points. Keep in mind, because this is again important, you have to put in the age that you have on your passport. Now, why I'm saying this, we know that a lot of times in South Asia, there can be people who have um, uh, different documentation, and there might be slight differences in their age. So, whatever is there on your passport, you add that as your age. So, say for instance, somebody is 27 years of age right now. Next up is what is your level of education? Now, if you've had qualification from outside of Canada, then for any education you are required to have ECA. Until unless you have ECA, you cannot officially obtain the points. But because this is a calculator, this is where if you don't have your ECA right now, you can still add in the details and then see how much points these are. But there's another table which gives you equivalence of what an ECA means. So we can discuss that sometime later. But right now, as we discussed, so say for instance you have a master's degree, you've had an MBA done, or you've had a 4 years bachelor's and then you had a 2 years master's in engineering or some other field. This is what you will pick. Um, it says master's degree or professional degree needed to practice in a license. I think we've had this discussion in our video where we talked about the ECAs in detail. If you have a professional degree like maybe an MBBS, a BDS, degree in dentistry, or somebody in veterinary practice, they can they can pick this as the master's or professional degree. Although it's not a master's degree in itself, like an MBBS is considered a bachelor's of surgery and medicine, but you will pick that over here. If you have just one bachelor's degree, a 3 year or 4 year, that's what you'll pick. Whereas, as I mentioned earlier, that if you have those two credentials, then you can pick this option. So, say for instance, you have an MBBS. So, you will pick this option, master's degree or professional degree needed to practice in a license. Have you earned a Canadian degree, diploma, or certificate? So, if you've not studied in Canada, the simple answer is no over here. Of anything that you want to add, Adnan?
Yes, one thing, Hassan, is always look for what the institutional body has ranked you against. Like master's degree, only select master's degree here if your West report or University of Toronto report or IQS report is saying you have a master's equivalency. Otherwise, do not do that.
But that's only if you already have the ECA. Like for instance, if you don't have the ECA and you're just trying to ascertain this, then you have to go with the best
Yes.
guess,
Mhm.
or you can definitely connect with some professional who can let you know as to what possible outcome this is.
Right.
So then comes the official languages. In terms of official languages, again, this is based on once you have your IELTS or other language test results. But if you had that in the past, or you generally feel as to what you will be able to score, you can again use your best guess to do this. So if you don't have the test results right now, or they're older than 2 years, you still pick yes, because only in that case you can insert your guess. Which language test? In most cases, it will be IELTS. Very small number of francophones who are applying for this. So, and then you have to pick scores for each of your four modules in that. So, say for instance, in speaking you had a 7, in listening you had a 7.5. And now also keep in mind that this is very important as well. Each module score in each module can give you different CRS scores, and this is where some important planning has to be done as to how to increase your score. Um, if you for right now, because we understand that, so I'll put this listening module as 8. Reading, we say you have a 7. Writing, that's where a lot of people have trouble, but I'll put it at 7. Do you have other language results? So this means that if somebody has taken IELTS and they also have French language ability, or if somebody is basically proficient in French and then they've also taken IELTS or an English test like CILPIP as well, so they can get additional points for second language ability. In most cases, this will be not applicable. Work experience. Now, keep in mind, as Nan was explaining the work experience part, there are two components. The foreign work experience. Foreign work experience means any work experience outside of Canada. And if it is outside of Canada, it doesn't matter as to which country it was in. It's foreign experience for Canadian immigration's sake. It can be experience in Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Myanmar,
I'm not sure if Hassan is stuck. If you guys can let us know if you can hear us. Okay, so I think Hassan has lost the internet. So I can take it over from here. So I have to share my screen now. Just give me one quick sec. Sorry guys for this internet thing. So yeah, Hassan is saying his internet went off. So I will share my screen. Just give me one quick sec. All right, guys, there is a small problem with the sharing the screen, but what we'll do is Hassan is trying to connect back. So once he's there, he will continue the CRS calculation, which he was showing to you all. What I can do is I will start taking the questions and I will start answering them right away. All right, so let me pick the first one. So Faisal is saying Assalamu alaikum, Sir Shariq and Sir Adnan. And Sir Adnan, good to see you today. Thank you so much, Faisal, and it's so nice to see you again today. Faisal is our regular viewer here, so we are very thankful to him. Thank you, Faisal. So Faisal, next question is why points reduce of primary applicant if spouse is accompanying? I think Faisal, Hassan has already elaborated on this one about why the difference is there. So I think that will be repetitive. Um, so let so Hassan is back now. So Hassan, what I was doing, I was just answering questions
Oh, okay, okay.
for now. But if you have that screen open of the CRS calculator, so you can reinitiate from where you left, and then we will start our questions answers from there.
Uh, just let me share the screen.
What happened to your internet today, Hassan? I thought
Oh,
I thought in Saudi Arabia this can happen. It happened in Canada.
no, for some reason my modem rebooted.
Oh, well, okay. As in, I can see our screen.
Yeah, just give me a minute.
Yeah, I was facing problem to share the screen as well because I'm using only one laptop today. I don't have my external screens.
There you go. Okay. Um, So we were at the work experience. So I was saying that if you have work experience in multiple countries, and that's outside of Canada, that will still all be considered as foreign work experience, and you join that together. But say, for instance, you're somebody who's now in Canada and studying in Canada, and there is a component of your work experience which is Canadian work experience and then foreign work experience. These will be two separate ones. You cannot add this all together as one. So it can either be Canadian experience or foreign work experience. So the first question, and that's where a lot of times people who are using this for the first time, the first time it asks you in the last 10 years, how many years of skilled work experience in Canada do you have? And then there's a requirement as to the type of work experience. So you mentioned that, for instance, again, for simplicity, right now we assume that you don't have any work experience in Canada. So none or less than a year. In the last 10 years, how many total years of foreign skilled work experience do you have? Important thing to keep in mind, in last 10 years. So somebody who's probably in their 40s, and if they're claiming work experience which is beyond the last 10 years, that will not count in it, and only in last 10 years. So that's where you pick as to how many years of experience. Keep in mind, for express entry, 12 months of work experience is an eligibility, so it cannot be less than a year. Again, you'll be considered ineligible. So it can be 1 years, 2 years, 3 years, or more. So any work experience beyond 3 years gives you almost the same point. So for right now, we assume that somebody who's aged about 28, has a master's degree, we say that they have 3 years or more of work experience. Do you have a certificate of qualification from a Canadian province or territory? This is the trade license certification. Again, in most cases, this will be a no. Additional points. These are the points that Adnan discussed at the end. And you can get these if you have a valid job offer. Now, keep in mind, it's not that just a job offer. Sometimes we get to have these queries that, okay, my cousin is based in Canada and has a company. If they send me a letter, will that be fine? Or I have somebody. It has to be a job offer which should be supported by an LMIA if it is required. So you can only fetch these points, 50 or 200, if all that documentation is available over there. Then there are people who are in Canada, maybe those on a postgraduate work permit, and they're working in a job where they're working on that job based on the postgraduate work permit, and the job offer that they have is not having an LMIA. Again, you cannot claim these points if you're in that instance. So for right now, we say no. Do you have a nomination certificate from a province or territory? This is for those who've obtained a PNP nomination. So for right now, we'll say no. Do you or your spouse or common law partner have at least one brother or sister living in Canada who is a citizen or permanent resident? Now, it is only if you or your spouse have a sibling and no other relative, like even if you have your parent, a child, uncle and aunt, anybody else, you don't get points under the CRS system. And important thing to keep in mind, if you are, although we are not doing that, if you are coming as non-accompanying spouse, like your spouse is non-accompanying and they have a sibling, you don't get these points. This is only if they are accompanying you. So again, for simplicity's sake, right now we say that no, you don't have, and then we press the button, and this is where we get the complete score. So I'll start off with the total. So the total comprehensive ranking score for this particular individual, somebody who was 28 years of age, had a master's degree, like 18 years of education, or a professional degree, 3 years plus work experience, IELTS 8 in listening and 7 in all other modules. This person is scoring around 469. Now, this gives you an indication. As Adnan mentioned, if you are an outland applicant outside of Canada, and these are the credentials, you can see that there seems to be a fair chance because the cutoff scores have been for outland applicants have been around 470s, 460s, 470s. They did drop to 420s and 30s, but that's history. That's long ago. So this individual might have a good possibility. Now, just looking at the individual scores, for age, they've scored 110, which is the highest. Level of education, there is 135, which again we see there is the possibility of doing a PhD, but that will take a few years. Um, there's no spouse involved, so no points in terms of that. Skill transferability. Now, we'll not get into the details, but this is where your official language and English and education, the combination of that is working out and giving you 50 points. Right now, Canadian work experience and education, 0 points. This is one aspect where somebody can add points. As Adnan mentioned, 15 or 30 CRS points can be added over here if you're in a situation. Foreign work experience, right now this person is getting maximum points, 50 CRS points, because of the 3 years of work experience and the language proficiency. Canadian and foreign work experience. Now, if you have foreign work experience and say you have 12 months of Canadian work experience, this jointly gives you additional points. uh, and this is where somebody who completes their education in Canada and then gets a postgraduate work permit can again increase these points. Additional points, PNP, siblings, and all these. So this is an example. And then what you can do is that in the same calculator, like if it was such a profile and you see 469, where you can do better is the language scores. Now this was assumed, like there is still possibility like somebody could in speaking could score even higher than the seven mark. So just to give you an example, we picked the 7.5 and we calculate it again, and now there is an addition of 3 CRS points. From 469 it goes to 472. So just play around, and for those who are, say for instance, married, they just pick married, and then there will be some additional questions as to is your spouse coming to Canada, are they permanent residents, what is their qualifications, and that's how you will be able to calculate these points. Yep. So with that, I'll stop the screen share and then we can move back to the questions and comments. Yep.
So yeah, Hassan, I think I took the first two questions, if I believe. Yeah, I think I was. This was the question which I was mentioning to Faisal, that you already addressed this one. Why points reduce a primary applicant if spouse is accompanying? So you already addressed that. I don't know if you want to add something more, or we can move to the next one.
I think we can move forward because
Yeah.
that's already addressed. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, the next question is from Muzammil. Thank you, Muzammil, for joining today. My seniors, that they hold MBA degree from Allama Iqbal University. Their degree was equivalent to MBA from University of Toronto, where it falls in this table. So if you are just looking at the points for the master's degree, that would be between 126 to 135, depending on if you are applying as a single or as a merit.
Yeah.
But this is the point score for this particular education only. We are unable to calculate all the complete CRS point, because you have now seen in the tool there is a lot of factors which we need to incorporate to get you the exact CRS score. But if you just talk about the educational points, that is from 126 to 135. This is the range.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
If somebody is single, it will be 135, or non-companying spouse. If it's married, it will be 126.
Right.
And this is a good example. I just add that, see, there is already an ECA. So they can, and if the ECA clearly states that this MBA is equivalent to a Canadian master's, you can pick masters within this tool and see that.
And
So
also one more lesson learned is, if University of Toronto is making Allama Iqbal University MBA equivalent to masters. So if you have also a same degree or somebody else has a degree from Allama Iqbal University, then they have to go and do the assessment from University of
Yeah,
Toronto instead of
yeah,
sending it to West. So this is what the experience tells us here to do.
yeah,
Let's take the next one, Hassan, and it is same from Muzammil, and he's saying, "I have almost done my degree from same university, just waiting for issuance of degree." So yeah, best of luck and best wishes. We hope that you will get your degree soon. Make sure you complete this requirement because you have seen that the points start dropping if you are out of that particular age zone. Also up to 29 you score maximum, but if you are going a little bit above, then you are every year you're decreasing 5 points plus other factors. So make sure you stay in the game as soon as you have your degree completed and then get it assessed by University of Toronto. All right, Hassan, next question.
yeah.
Let me bring it up. It is from Atif Bash. Total expense and duration it takes to get the visa. First of all, thank you so much, Atif, for joining today. So, expense and duration to get the visa. Hassan, I think this is your favorite question to answer. I will not say
At,
anything.
Atif, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of different Canadian visas and streams. Um, if you can elaborate as to which visa are you asking for. Today we're talking specifically about the CRS score, which is express entry permanent residency. So if you're asking about this one, um, um, the total expense for a single person can range between in total, I'd say about 2.5 to 3,000 Canadian dollars. And the duration, again, depending on when you do your IELTS, you do your ACA, it can take about 9 months to 12 months for the complete duration. So this is what I'll answer. If there is a different visa that you're looking for, you can definitely post that in the comment section, and we'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, exactly. This is a very open question. We don't know which visa Atif is talking about, but one thing, Hassan, we have noticed that people when they put their profile into Express Entry, they become so excited and they just think that they're going to get the invitation very soon and everything will be done. It is indeed very challenging nowadays, especially
Yeah,
the delays we are seeing,
yeah,
and especially the Minister of Citizenship is also trying to clear the backlog of the applications on Express Entry. So there's a lot going on right now. That's why we have not seen Canadian experience class draws for
yeah,
last a month now almost,
yeah, yeah,
which was rarely happened.
yeah.
Which means they are just focusing on the previous applications to complete, and then they will announce any new draw.
Mm.
So a lot of things happening nowadays. Nobody can predict the time or can say anything about it. But yeah, stay in the game. That is an important thing I always say.
So next up we have Faisal, and Faisal is saying, I wonder that very complex point scoring in a range employment and my very big confusion about job offer score is fixed today. Thanks, you're welcome. Cause I was thinking that any kind of job offer under any knock could give 200 points.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
I'd just like to comment on that. That Faisal, this is where a lot of people think that Canadian immigration is just as simple as reading online and doing it. There is a whole set of laws behind that.
Hassan, the thing is, the more you go into fine prints of Express Entry system and how the points are placed and how the working happened, the more confusion can come.
Yeah,
But because you and me are spending so much time into this field, so we know like where the mistakes happen, where to calculate the points, how it's gonna, fall at the end. So this is something, yeah, of course we can help you guys with for sure.
yeah. And then I think, just have the comments about my video getting stuck when that happened. So I think no more questions. If there are no more questions, then we can wrap it up. And one thing that I'd like to mention over here is, because Express Entry is a program which is very popular, which has been popular, which still is. Adnan did touch on this, that a lot of time what happens is that people just create their express entry profile themselves, or um, they're informed by a consultant, which we technically here in Canada call as the ghost consultants, those who are not educated and licensed in Canadian immigration. They just say that we've created your express entry profile. And now it's just a matter of weeks or months that you will get an invitation. So since December 2020, um, outland applicants, federal skilled worker program applicants, even if they're in pool, even if they have a score of 475 or 480, they're not being invited. There hasn't been a draw. So you need to look at these things. Having said that, it's not that this program is closed. So if you are somebody who has a good profile, and I've in my past live sessions, I've always been saying this, that if you are somebody who is still not 30 years of age, has a master's level qualification or a professional degree, you have 3 years of work experience, and you feel that your language ability, English language ability, is good enough that if you've already taken an IELTS, or if you prepare well and you can sit down and do well in IELTS, you should not miss out on this opportunity, because after 30 it will become difficult. The way scores have become competitive. I can share my own story here. Like when I used Express Entry in the very beginning, I was invited on a score of something like 420s. Like my score was higher, but that draw was something like 420s. That's history. That's gone. We Nan and myself, we would love to have that score because that will increase our clientele. But that's history. So a lot of times the mistake that people make, and by no means our objective doing these sessions is to provide the right information. So if you're this profile, somebody who's less than 30, has a master's, 3 years of work experience, and you seriously want to take this chance, just don't sit online and keep reading all these articles and news. Get your ECA done, do your research as to which body will provide you the best ECA in the quickest time. Get your ECA done and get done with your IELTS. If you have these two documents with you, your EC and IELTS, only then you start into the world of Canadian skilled immigration. Because even if it's a PNP, you will require this. So, what I would suggest is from today's session, the takeaway should be that you just go online, have a calculation. If you're somebody who is on the basis of your guesses, like if you don't have EC and IELTS, you are saying that your score is somewhere around 450s and above. My suggestion will be get done with your IELTS and get done with your ECA. And then, in a realistic manner, start looking at opportunities, PNPs, Express Entry, get in the pool. Express Entry profile is valid for 1 year. There's no cost to it. You can have it renewed. And you never know when the draws may start happening. And they are going to resume with the reviews, with the draws. They cannot just completely shut this program. This is the most important program which has brought so many foreign skilled human resource into Canada, and which will keep on bringing. So that's my sort of concluding word on this. Adnan, anything you would like to add before we ask for leave?
Exactly. I think just very shortly, like if you are doing your assessment, also think from multiple ways where you can get the opportunity of coming to Canada. Like if you are not like having a score on express entry enough, like if it is as Hassan said, if it is in like 420s, 410, of course PNPs are there, but start looking into if you have to complete your education, like you're thinking about your master's degree already, you do not have it, you want to pursue your PhD, or you want to do something in Canada on a study basis, just do it in parallel. It's not going to harm you. Apply for your study permit, apply for an admission first, and then apply for your study permit application. If you receive your study permit and you land in Canada, and later on you got your ITA invitation to apply through your express entry profile, that's a big jump for you, like big opportunity. So just do like work with all the ways available to you, like just cash it out all the opportunities which you can feel it. So do a very thorough assessment, and assessment is very important when you start with Canadian immigration. See what you can do with the time you have, with the efforts you can put in place, and then decide what you need to do. Put your game plan and strategy there to make sure you cash out the opportunities. That's it from Hassan from my side.
Thank you, Adnan. So that's all for the session today. Thank you again for watching. Do support by commenting, liking, and sharing. And in the end, I'll as usual, leave you all with a small video. And because Adnan is away, so we'll put on a video which reminds him of home.